Welcome back to the woods and welcome back to another episode. I've been really excited to film this one. I'm back here with Ben and today's episode is all about charcoal burning, or how to make charcoal with a small ring kiln. We're going to head on over to Ben in a minute and he's going to talk through the process, which is a very traditional technique that's still done here today in the UK. But he's going to show the process of how you can actually make charcoal from resources around you here in the woodland.
So this is the ring kiln itself. I think it's about 1 metre diameter by almost 1 metre in depth. We've got 3 chimneys. We've got 6 ports in total. So we've got 6 of these. 3 will be for allowing air in and 3 will be for allowing the smoke out. And what we'll do whilst we're doing the burn is we'll move these chimneys about to distribute the heat and the air coming in and the smoke going out around the kiln as we go. Every hour or so we'll move these chimneys around. This is actually the first time I've used this size kiln. I usually burn on a slightly bigger one than this. What I've done initially already on the outside is I've put the ring down and I've sat it down on top of the vents. So as you just saw from the inside, these vents run internally and then to the outside, so it lifts it off the ground by a couple of inches. And then what we do is we fill soil around the outside of it to block the air from coming back underneath. So all we want is the air to either come in through these ports or well, nowhere else actually, just the air to come in through the ports. So this vent, this goes right the way through, right the way into the inside of the kiln. When we light the kiln, this front section will be covered, and these low ones will be drawing the air through and into the kiln, and these taller ones with the chimneys on will block here, and that will be taking the smoke out. This is the hazel from last year's coppice. It's all hazel. You can use different species of wood, but this is what I've got mostly from coppicing at the moment. The ash usually goes for firewood, and the hazel pieces like this are only good for either burning in a small stove or charcoal burning. Really the wood needs to be as dry as possible. You can use wood that's slightly damp, but it will take longer to burn. This is very dry, so it will be a nice quick burn today. What I've done is I've cut bits of hazel to a size so that I can put them in here and create a channel for the air to come in and out at the beginning of the burn. So initially what you want is you want the airflow to be able to work properly until the kiln is alight and burning itself. So I'm placing these in here like this, so that I can create air coming through the vent so that nothing blocks that. The leaves will be okay because they'll burn. So all I'm going to do is put all these bits of hazel in here. So the next stage is to cover over the top of those bits of hazel to allow the clear passage for the air. So what I've done is I've actually taken some of the roof shingles that Mike and I made previously. These are all the scrap ones that we didn't use and haven't been put on any roofs. So I've just trimmed them down in length and taken various sizes, but trimmed them down in length so they're all similar. And what they do is they're just going to sit over the top of that, and they're actually really good for this. So what we do is we cover all these over now. So you can see the air will still carry right the way through to the centre, because that's where we want the fire to start initially. It doesn't, you know, it has to be lit in the middle and then work its way out. What I'm going to do is just start laying it across here, and we're going to cover that centre. It's lovely and dry. You hear that? That just snaps. You can see we're trying to be careful to leave the air gap underneath. And the small branches are really good because this is where the charcoal is going to sit, and I don't want it falling down to the floor just yet. Once it's lit, it's fine, but you want it to be able to get lit, so the air gap's essential. I think this is known as what they call a charge, so it's what gets the fire really burning well initially. That seems to be what it's called. So I think the next stage is to start carefully putting the hazel in and placing it around so we don't damage that centre.
Quite an important phase, isn't it, this beginning bit, to make sure that there's, the air can flow in.
Right, exactly. So I'm just going to carefully place some bits of hazel in here to start with. I still like to keep the air underneath, just that it allows the wood to start burning. If it falls through, it's okay, but it's good. Try and keep it. I'm just placing it all in quite carefully because I don't want to disturb that nest in the centre. There's no reason not to do it, really.
Have you had many more grey squirrels since?
Do you know what? I was stood over there by the toilet, and I was looking at it, and one ran almost between my legs.
Oh really?
And it went blum, 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 like that.
So
It's just like literally there.
Yeah, big one.
Just carried, yeah, big fat one.
Yeah.
And I thought, I must have stood really still.
Yeah,
Like,
for it to not
just,
even know you were
yeah,
there.
not even know I was there, and he still didn't know I was there because I stayed there and I just didn't move. I thought, I'm going to watch where he goes.
Yeah, I'll bring the shotgun again then.
Everybody were coppicing their hazel.
Yeah.
It's like if everyone were coppicing hazel, the deer wouldn't manage to eat all the hazel.
True, yeah, that's true.
And the squirrels wouldn't manage to eat all the
There'd
nuts.
be so much for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so much for them. Amazing when you buy a bag of charcoal from the supermarket or the garage, how simple it is to just buy it, whereas here the process of what you go through, or what they traditionally went through to make it kind of years ago, is totally different, isn't it?
But this is a lot more fun than walking into a supermarket.
Definitely. Definitely.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to put some slightly bigger stuff. So we've got some slightly thicker hazel. So we're just going to load the top part of the kiln with heavier and thicker bits of wood.
And that's because if you did this at the bottom, it's going to smoulder, it's not going to burn as efficiently.
Yeah, it won't start, but we can start putting the larger stuff in the top now. These are again all hazel from the coppicing. So this is all our coppice from last year. Go. The lid doesn't sit down fully yet, and it doesn't even matter if it was sitting a little bit high. Sometimes you can stack the logs so it's a few inches up, because as soon as the smaller stuff underneath takes hold, it all just gradually drops down anyway. I think you'll find once we empty the kiln, the charcoal will probably be only about 2/3 up to the height of there. So everything just shrinks and drops down. Split these logs so we can use these for blocking the vents at the bottom of the chimneys. So that's just going to sit there nicely, just so it doesn't draw air through there. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to put 3 of these on the chimneys, or 1 on each chimney, should I say?
Because these are essentially they're all intakes, but the moment you block that, that becomes like an an exhaust, really.
It will.
And then this would be the intake. These ones without the chimneys.
Exactly, yeah. And we'll also put them on these ones, but I'm going to leave one of these open to light. So I'll put these on 2 of these. Just going to attach a fire lighter to this stick. Hold it. That's getting that. That's going in.
Open it.
Yeah. Brilliant.
You tell me here, you see it.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it. Oh, look at all 3 chimneys going now.
That's exactly it.
It's exciting.
Remove these bits of wood, right, and we're just going to stick the block on the top to get the drawer come right underneath now. So we'll just go around and we'll place a log over the top of each one of those. It could be burning one-sided, Mike, a little bit, because we're only getting smoke coming out of this chimney. So what I'm going to try and do is even the burn out a little bit by swapping the chimneys around now. So we're going to move the chimneys onto the ports that are the inlets at the moment, and we'll see how that fares with the, because this side of the kiln actually doesn't feel as hot as the other side. Even though it's only a small kiln. On a large kiln you can tell that a lot more, but at the moment we're only getting a lot of smoke coming out of that chimney. So what I'm going to do is swap these around and just move them all round one. So we'll go for that now. Put that chimney on there. Put that one on that. Like I say,
What have you just made, Ben? What is this?
so what I've made for us to sit on, Mike, is a charcoal maker's stool. So it may look a little bit uncomfortable and rustic, but this was an essential part of a charcoal maker's kit, because I think years ago the youngsters who used to be left in charge of charcoal kilns, probably earth kilns, used to be able to have to sit for sometimes up to 36 hours to manage the kiln and keep an eye on it and make sure there were no areas where it was burning badly, and it was essential that they stayed awake. So what they used to have to sit on was a one-legged stool, because it was the only way that a young boy was able to stay awake for 36 hours without falling asleep.
So if you fell asleep...
If you fell asleep, then you really just... and that was it.
I like that. That's brilliant.
You could sit there, not all night, but...
Right, Ben, we'll go to the pub then, and then Dad can sit and...
watch the smoke for 8 hours.
You'll be alright then, Graham?
Yeah, see ya.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Yeah, won't be. I expect trouble getting out of bed. I don't know I'm going to get off of this.
The kiln isn't burning properly on the other side, so it's burning mostly on this side. So I've closed this vent off for now to stop the air coming through here, because this side's very hot and these chimneys are working really well, but this one wasn't. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop that over the top of there for now, and I'm going to close this side of the kiln down just so it stops most of the fire on this side, and it allows it to draw over to that side, and hopefully get the kiln burning a bit more evenly, which it's doing almost straight away. It's going well.
I'm not really sure.
So we are 3 hours now into the burn, and it's still billowing smoke, so it's probably got another hour, at least 2 hours probably, before Ben's going to shut it down. Now unfortunately I have to go, and so Ben's going to have to hopefully do the filming part of the smoke change, because it's really important as that colour changes in the smoke, of knowing when to shut it down and to kind of starve it of oxygen, and you stop that burning process, and that's when you get the charcoal. So unfortunately I'm not able to capture that on the camera, but I'll be back tomorrow morning to hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to film lifting of the lid and, you know, being able to look at the charcoal itself. But for you guys, it'll all be in one episode anyway. So Ben is here. You're not allowed to leave the seat, Ben.
I will try not to.
That's it. You got it. Yeah, no falling asleep. That's it. Do you reckon a few more hours? Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon another two hours.
Okay.
We should be good.
It's burning really well though.
Yeah, it's very even now, so it's doing well.
It's exciting stuff. I'm a bit gutted I've got to go somewhere, but yeah, they're all evenly burning now. So that's dripping. Is that, what is that, Ben?
That's the tar that's collected in the chimney from the wood.
Yeah, you can see it there. Well, you join us here on the next day, and Ben has shut it down. What did you have to do first, Ben, to kind of close it down?
So what I did is I added some more damp soil to the top, so to fill the gap a bit better, so there was no smoke coming out of here. And then I just capped these off, made sure these were quite secure and flat. And then I covered the front of the ports with soil to block all the air coming in. And just waited for another half an hour and made sure that actually the smoke was reducing and there was no areas that needed attention.
And had you seen like a slight change in the smoke? Did you notice something? Or did you go by kind of time?
No, I went by time.
Yeah.
And also there was quite a lot of tar coming out of the chimney ports. So I took that as a bit of an indication.
As a sign?
Yeah.
And obviously for the viewers, if you leave this too long, what does happen? If you kind of left this for burning too long, what would happen to the wood inside?
I think what happens is the charcoal then starts to burn, so the charcoal will actually ignite rather than burning off the gases from the wood.
Yeah.
so you
and
end
then
up with
you
less
lose
charcoal.
less charcoal, and it's just burning through everything.
Which may have happened or not.
we don't know. It's a bit of a lottery. Another thing you were saying yesterday, Dad was saying it's really tempting to want to just lift the lid and have a peek, but that could be a really dangerous thing to do, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I think you can combust the whole lot.
So it could just explode in terms of the oxygen could just rush in.
I don't know if it will explode, but it wouldn't be good for
it
wouldn't be good for the burn.
Yeah, or your face as you're near it.
It
So just a word of warning to people who are doing this.
Always just leave it closed.
Don't touch it.
And touch it the next day, roughly 24 hours after it's cooled down.
Okay.
We're a little bit earlier than that today, but
yeah,
we're quite impatient. So.
And in terms of, we started at the base of the kiln. We started with small sticks, and we got bigger. When we were collecting some of those big logs towards the end, you were saying some of them might be a bit too big.
Yeah.
So we could be left with kind of browned off wood.
Yeah, so it'll be slightly charcoal. So they're called browns.
Could you use them still?
You can use them on the next burn. So you'll use
okay.
them in the base of the next burn. So they'll be your starting logs for your next burn. So you can use browns.
It's not like good enough charcoal to be using when you barbecue.
You won't use it in a barbecue, no, but you'll use it again in the kiln.
Okay, so it's not wasted.
Not at all. No, it'll help with the next burn.
Okay, right. Well, this is a moment of truth, folks. Let's hope nothing explodes. It feels cold.
It is cold, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, ready? Look at that.
Beautiful.
That's some charred wood right there, isn't it? Oh, the smell as well. That's a lovely smoky smell. Let me grab the camera so you guys can see this. So this is what it looks like.
So it's reduced by...
Yeah, quite a lot actually.
Just over a third, I'd say.
We filled it just above the rim, didn't we, here?
And it goes down to the ground, so it's about 2/3 full. So what we put in, we've probably lost just under half because we raised it up.
Yeah. And this is why you can raise it a fair bit above the lip, so you get a bit more.
Should we have a look at one of these, Mike? Look at that. Absolutely beautiful.
Just crumbles. So, in terms of the next stage, what would you do? Crush that up with something, or how would it?
No, I just take them out and
break it by hand.
Break them up slightly, but they'll break up by themselves. Look.
Yeah. So
they just break up into pieces.
Yeah, it just crumbles.
Drop them. Yeah, everything. The bark comes off, and they just break up into usable pieces.
So light.
That's really good. Really good.
A successful burn, Ben. Well done, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mike. Well done to you too.
And look at this is the tar you were saying about.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do after is we need to clean the kiln. So once you finish this burn, we need to scrape everything off the sides and clean this rim.
Okay.
So we'd end up having to clean this, or else the lid's not going to sit down properly.
Yeah.
So the next stage, once we've emptied it, because we can empty this by hand, it's not a big kiln. Usually they'd use quite a fork of some kind. But because it's a small kiln, we can reach it from either side, and we can reach down to the bottom. So we'll empty it out, and then we'll clean all the rim off. We'll clean the inside of the lid, because the underside of the lid.
Oh yeah, look at that.
We'll get all this off. And scrape it back. That feels like paint. That's so smooth. Paint.
Yeah.
And it's hard as well. I should imagine that does something to protecting the metal of the kiln as well.
Like rust proofing it, sort of. Yeah.
So,
well done to you. That is that's really good to see, and a really traditional technique that's still done today, isn't it, in Britain?
And we're going to be doing it all summer.
Yeah, look at that. So in terms of time, how long would you say that was burning for, that one? It was 12 o'clock, wasn't it? We
started the burn we lit it at 12 o'clock, and I closed it down at about 6:30, so 6.5 hours.
So that, just for people to get an idea in terms of the size of the kiln, the type of wood was hazel.
Yeah.
6.5 hours.
Very dry. It was dry. It was very seasoned, so it didn't have any moisture in it. I think if it had moisture in it, you could probably add another half an hour to an hour.
So so just so people know as well, you can burn slightly unseasoned wood as such.
Yeah.
You can burn it green a bit.
It will just take longer.
You just need to let the steam come up, the moisture come out first.
This is everything from around the centre, which is perfectly charcoal and really light and really nice and absolute textbook charcoal. That's from the centre out to about the last sort of 8 to 10 inches, and then around near the edge we've got these which are semi charcoal, so a little bit brown in the middle, so still some nice bits of charcoal on there, but you can see that is not quite the same as that.
It's less flaky somehow,
yeah, so
isn't
it's not as easy to break. It's still slightly dense, and it's a little bit brown, so bits like this will just go back in the burn for either that, I keep them on, use them on the fire for making the kettle. And what we've got around the edge, at the very edge and at the bottom, are pieces like this. So they look like they were the same, but then once I split that open, it was still almost a piece of wood.
Yeah.
So that's hardly gone up at all. So this is why the smoke didn't change too much, because actually there were still bits in there that were releasing the gases. But I'm going to reuse all these in the kiln again. So these slightly brown will go in the bottom with the charge that starts, and then these will go on the top, and then I'll put fresh wood on the top of that. So it won't be wasted. But what we want is this, so we'll probably have a decent quantity of this. It'll be mostly good charcoal, but probably about sort of 20% browns, which will be reused.
I was going to say, it's not wasted, is it,
No,
at the end of the day?
Not in the slightest.
Well, Ben, thanks. I really appreciate that. That was one really cool process, and I've always wanted to learn about how to make charcoal, and certainly this kind of method of small scale as well. And just in your own woodland, I mean, you really can't beat it. That hazel was harvested like 100 yards away, wasn't it? If that.
Yeah, and it's helped with my coppicing.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the cycle.
Yeah, so it's already a job you were doing, and there's no the byproduct as such. There's no wastage. It's now used, and you've got charcoal as well.
And so have you.
Yeah, cheers. No, it's been great fun. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you want to see the other videos I've done with Ben, we've done how to make roof tiles or shingles. We've done how to make hazel spars, and we've done how to make a besom broom. Really good kind of traditional crafts of Britain. I'll put a link to those videos in the description below. But I do thank you guys for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share it with your mates and share it around if you think anyone else would enjoy it too. And we will catch you guys in the next episode.